Digital campfires, shared virtual nature experiences like group forest walks in VR, live streamed sunrises, or watching wildlife together, are increasingly being explored not just for individual relaxation but as tools for strengthening social connection. In an age of fragmented attention, remote work, and rising loneliness, the idea that people might bond more deeply by gathering around digital representations of nature is both novel and rooted in something ancient. Research into the social effects of shared nature exposure, especially in immersive or ambient digital formats, is beginning to show that these experiences can, in fact, nurture empathy, foster group cohesion, and rebuild a sense of community. The foundation of this idea lies in how humans have always used nature as a backdrop for connection. Campfires, for example, are among the earliest human gathering points, places not only of warmth and safety, but also of storytelling, ritual, and emotional exchange. Sitting in silence under a canopy of stars, walking together through woods, or listening to the rain while sharing a meal, these nature-linked moments have long served as emotional glue in human relationships. Today, many of those rituals have been lost or digitized, but the emotional needs they fulfilled remain. Virtual nature experiences are now attempting to recreate these shared moments in a digital world. In VR, users can explore tranquil landscapes alongside others in real time, walking through a misty forest trail, sitting by a simulated campfire, or watching the northern lights unfold across a sky dome. In these shared settings, something interesting happens. Even when avatars are used and direct conversation is minimal, users report feeling closer to others. They describe a sense of presence, warmth, and mutual grounding that feels qualitatively different from typical online interaction. Part of this effect stems from ambient intimacy, the low-pressure emotional closeness that comes from simply being in the same space, even silently. In nature, unlike in fast-paced social platforms or productivity tools, there's no demand for performance. You don't need to entertain, react, or fill silence. Just being there is enough. When this principle is translated into virtual nature settings, it creates an unusually gentle kind of social environment, one that supports vulnerable connection without pressure. Studies in environmental psychology suggest that shared experiences in nature, real or simulated, tend to increase prosocial behaviors. This includes greater empathy, more patience in conversation, and a heightened sense of trust. When people engage in something calming and awe-inspiring together, such as watching a sunrise or hearing birdsong ripple through a forest, their emotional rhythms synchronize. This co-regulation, where nervous systems begin to mirror each other, supports bonding at a biological level. In shared VR or digital environments, the same synchronization can occur, especially when experiences are designed with intentional pacing, soft soundscapes, and natural visual transitions. Some VR platforms are already using this to support group therapy, peer support, or mindfulness circles. Instead of sitting in a Zoom grid, participants meet around a digital fire pit or inside a tranquil glade. The change in setting alone alters the tone. People report feeling more at ease, less self-conscious, and more open to emotional exchange. Even nonverbal presence, like simply being part of a group that watches trees sway or waves roll, can trigger feelings of belonging and acceptance. In more casual settings, streaming nature documentaries together or joining ambient nature watch parties, like live cams from national parks or underwater reefs, also produces similar effects. Viewers often share not just awe or wonder, but commentary, personal memories, or emotional reflections sparked by the footage. These conversations tend to be slower, gentler, and more thoughtful than typical social media dialogue. Shared nature experiences seem to activate not only connection, but the tone of connection that people are increasingly craving, one rooted in calm, presence, and authenticity. There's also evidence that virtual group nature experiences can increase cross-cultural empathy. When people around the world gather virtually in biodiverse environments, beaches in Brazil, forests in Japan, savannas in Kenya, they often express a deeper appreciation for both ecological and human diversity. These shared moments of wonder can build bridges where dialogue alone might falter. In this way, digital nature not only connects individuals, but also fosters a larger sense of shared humanity. However, the design of these experiences matters. Fast-moving, gamified, or overly competitive environments can undermine the sense of intimacy. The most effective digital nature spaces for social bonding are slow, immersive, and non-performative. They allow people to arrive as they are, not as curated versions of themselves. Features like shared silence, open-ended presence, and cooperative exploration support a deeper kind of connection than typical chat or video formats. As loneliness becomes a growing public health issue, especially among younger adults and older populations alike, these shared digital nature spaces may serve a valuable role. They offer a low-barrier, low-risk form of togetherness, one that feels emotionally safe and physically calming. For people with social anxiety, grief, chronic illness, or simply high stress, gathering quietly in a virtual forest or sitting with others under simulated stars may feel more nourishing than a noisy group call or crowded physical event. In the end, digital campfires are not about replacing real human contact or real nature, but about restoring some of the emotional functions those experiences once offered. They invite people to reconnect, not through urgency or entertainment, but through stillness, through shared awe, through the quiet knowledge that someone else somewhere is also watching the rain fall or the fire flicker. And in that moment, even through a screen, we remember that we are not alone.